Okay, so this is the problem that you submitted, and from the information in this word problem, you can deduce what I've typed out there. So it's just converting percentages into probabilities. And you can just check that this is complete. When you add up these individual probabilities, you get the number 1. So all of the selections are there. So let's look at your part A. You want to compute the probability that a randomly selected peanut M&M is not green. Well, we can use the complement rule, and that's just going to be 1 minus the probability of the complement of not green, which means that it's green. So that would be 1 minus 0.15, which would be 0.85. That's using the complement rule. Or you could calculate it directly by adding up all of the other probabilities that are not green. So 0.12 plus probability it's yellow, plus probability it's red, plus probability that it's blue, plus probability that it's orange. And if you add those up together, you'll get 0.85. So one uses the complement rule, the other uses direct calculation. I think the complement rule is easier. Okay, so now let's look at part B. Complement the probability that a randomly selected peanut is yellow or brown. So the probability that you get yellow or brown, well, you can use the formula for the OR command, and it's the probability that you get yellow plus the probability of getting brown minus the probability of getting an M&M that's yellow and brown. Now, it's impossible to get an M&M that is both yellow and brown, so that probability is 0. And so we're just going to add up both of these. The probability that you get an M&M that's yellow is 0.15. The probability that you get an M&M that's brown is 0.12. And when you add those together, you get 0.27. So the answer to part B is 0.27. Okay. Now for part C, it says compute the probability that 3 randomly selected peanut M&Ms are all blue. So if you select 3, what is the probability that all 3 are blue? Okay, now some students might say, well, is it with replacement or without replacement? Well, you have not been told that you have a bag of 100 M&Ms or 500 M&Ms. You haven't been told that at all. And so what they're asking you is if you pick 3 out of the entire population. Now, the entire population is millions and millions. And so with replacement or without replacement, if you're picking 3 of them, does not matter. So if you're not told that you have a bag with a specific number in there, then you use without replacement. So what is the probability that on an individual selection that you get blue, and it's 0.23. And so if you select 3 of them, the probability you'll get blue every time is going to be 0.23 times itself, so each time. Or since you're selecting 3, it's going to be that all cubed. Okay. And if I put that into my calculator, that's going to be the exact answer. Now, the instructions told you to round that to 4 decimal places. So if I round to 4 decimal places, this 6 is going to bump that one up 1. So that's the answer, rounded to 4 decimal places. Okay. Now part D is, let me read. Suppose you randomly select 6 peanuts. Select 6 at random. What's the probability that none of them are red? Okay. Well, for one pick, the probability of not red is 1 minus the probability that you get red, which is 1 minus 0.12. So if you're going to select 6, the probability that out of 6 picks, none of them are red, well, that's going to be this multiplied by itself 6 times. And when I put that into my calculator, I get that. And again, if we're rounding to 4 places, this time that won't be changed. So that's going to be 0.4644. That's your answer to part D. Now part E wants to know, if you randomly select 6 peanuts, compute the probability that at least one of them is red. So again, select 6, and the probability that at least one is red well, I have to use the law of complements on this one. So it's going to be 1. So this probability will be equal to 1 minus the probability of the complement that at least one red, which is going to be 1 minus. What's the probability that at least one is red? What's the complement of that? The complement is that none of them are red for 6 selections. And we got the answer to that right there. So the answer to part E is going to be 1 minus your answer to part D. But now put in part D the complete thing without being without rounding. You only round at the very end. And so this is going to be, the number is going to be 0.53559. 59132. And now I will round to 4 decimal places, and this 9 is going to bump that up. So the answer to part E, I might put it up here, is going to be 0.5356. Because what they asked you for in E was the complement of what you were asked for in part D. Okay. So that completes all of those, and that finishes the video, and thank you for letting me help you.